Good morning, good evening for I think most of the people here. Thank you for joining. This is follow-up for EMEA and EMEA East for the SCIM deep dive. My name is Cynthia Ng, also known as Arty Chan, mostly on Slack. But thank you for joining, and we are going to just kind of see what comes up today. We are going to go off the doc for any questions, but since we don't have any questions in the doc at the moment, actually, Caitlin, if you don't mind actually just repeating your comment from like a minute ago, we can actually just start there.
All right, so I mostly joined because as a self-managed engineer, my entire experience with SCIM has been people who come across, say, the Okta app in the Okta marketplace and don't realize that SCIM is only for GitLab.com. And they'll set up SAML instead and then wonder why users aren't being created. So I joined mostly to kind of like dive into those differences, and I feel like I got a lot out of it, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks for your comment. So I do want to actually just kind of briefly cover that since we're here. So I'm just going to very quickly share. So in slide 3, I do mention at the bottom here, right, like that bringing SCIM to self-managed is in issue 12823. I actually never opened this issue in the presentation, so I just want to kind of quickly take a look at that now. So as I mentioned, this kind of covers actually a couple of different features. So most likely these will be split off into separate issues in the future. But for now, this is kind of the one that we're pointing to because this is a feature request. So what they're talking about here is basically extending whatever we have in SAML SSO for groups on GitLab.com to the instance level for self-managed. So, and you can see right here in this line, in the second bullet point here, that it is in, that we want to bring SSO and force. Group managed account isn't quite there, so but most importantly, SCIM all the way at the end here to self-managed. So the plan is it's coming, but we just don't have a specific timeline yet. You'll see as well that actually the self-managed has some things like 2FA bypass. Actually, this is a big one for a lot of the .com customers. And we actually get tickets quite often. I wouldn't say we get it very often, but we do occasionally. It's not uncommon that we will get a ticket in .com saying, hey, I don't know how to, like, I can't get past my 2FA. But then they mentioned they're using SSO. I literally had one this week where someone said, oh, I'm using the Okta Verify app. And I'm like, you would not be using the Okta app to enter your 2FA code for GitLab. And the user did have their GitLab 2FA turned on. So, I basically had to explain to them, it's like, you must have used a different app to set up the 2FA on GitLab.com. So, see if you can find it. They had no record of ever setting it up. They probably set it up and just completely forgot about it. So then we ended up just, going through the verification process and disabling it for them. But yeah, so this will probably turn into an epic. I really wouldn't be surprised if it did. But it's basically, actually kind of merging what we have in terms of feature set for self-managed and .com for SAML or for SSO, actually, and then that includes SCIM. So if you ever get any more self-managed customers or users in general asking about SCIM, you can feel free to point them to this issue.
Will eventually all of the features that are present in the LDAP sync come to SAML SCIM?
So LDAP and SAML are separate, and I don't in the sense that I don't know that it's capable to do that. Like the SAML protocol itself, I'm not sure that that's
fair. I just had a couple of people ask because a couple of the providers of LDAP say LDAP is outdated, please use SAML instead. But we're missing features in the SAML integration.
So they are two different protocols, right? So I don't know that it's going to work the exact same way. But we did recently get, so again, this kind of goes into SAML and straying a bit from SCIM, but that's okay. So let me just bring up the docs page and I'll show you. This actually just landed. And it actually technically landed next release because we didn't get it in. We didn't get everything in time for the previous release post because of the cutoff date. So one of the things we actually added is group sync. And this is what I imagine you're basically talking about, like what most people using LDAP really want, is that if you specify a group in SAML, so say this example says, okay, well, if you have a group of product managers, right? So in your identity provider, I like to use, Okta as an example because that's what we use at GitLab. But, we say, okay, we have a group called product managers in Okta, so on your SAML identity provider side. And in GitLab, what you can do now is basically, you can basically say, oh, for this particular group, oh, okay, here they switched to a group called Figure Answers. Doesn't really matter, right? So you say, okay, this is the name of my SAML group, and then this is the role that they should have in the group. So what I imagine is that when they bring it to self-manage, obviously SAML will still be configured at the instance level, and then in each group, you would be able to set this group link. It's coming in 13.7 or planned for 13.7, I believe, in self-manage. I can find you the issue and add it to the doc. But it wasn't in the presentation because, as I said, that's more of a SAML thing than a SCIM thing. But I can definitely find it for you because I've been following it. Other questions, comments, things you've encountered, just things you want to know about? Okay, in that case, I will go ahead and stop the recording.